Good morning. It is about 6:45 in the morning. I decided to come out here earlier today because we are in the middle of a heat wave. Yesterday, the heat index was over 100 degrees, and it's supposed to be the same today and tomorrow. So I'm coming out early to do a quick garden update and to pick some stuff before it gets too unbearably hot out here. So let's take a quick look and we'll show you what things have happened since we last did the update on June 27th. The garden has grown quite a bit since then. I tried doing an update, I guess about a week and a half ago or so, but the film didn't come out very well, so I decided to nix it. So, I'm still waking up. I've only had one cup of coffee so far. Let's take a quick look around. So the greasy grit beans have gone insane, and they have got up here to the top of the trellis. Haven't quite covered it over, but the vines have met in a couple of areas, and we already have a lot of beans in here, which I'm going to pick some of these this morning. You can see here, got some beans right there, but they're all through here. One thing I'm worried about is that I've got something going on with the leaves on this side. It hasn't affected really the other side too much, but I don't know if it's because they're planted too close together, or if it's some kind of fungus that affects greasy grit beans. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to trim off some of those yellow leaves and hopefully it doesn't spread too much, because it's already spread some since it started and the leaves are just dying off. So one thing that I've found with the heirlooms is that there's a lot of them that get affected, it seems like, easier by fungus. So the eggplant is still hanging in there even though it's been attacked by these potato bugs, and now I've got flea beetles in there as well, but I've already harvested some eggplant, and you can see got one in there, and there's a couple more in here somewhere, I think. Wow, look at all the mushrooms growing in here this morning. Tons of them coming out of this mulch that I put in here, and it probably also has to do with the mushroom soil that I filled these boxes with, which is topsoil and composted horse manure mix. But there was an eggplant right here, but unfortunately it, I don't know if something got in there and dug at it last weekend when we were away, but I came home and it was pretty much almost all the way fallen over and was basically dead. All the leaves had wilted off, and so I just pulled it out. We only got one Black Beauty eggplant off of that one. So I've got one Black Beauty eggplant left right here, which has one coming in on it. There. Peppers are all gone kind of crazy. They're all pretty big, and again, I planted this stuff way too tight in here, so getting to stuff and has been kind of a chore, but hopefully they do okay. This is something that I would not recommend, is packing your beds this tight. You know, I was pressed for time when I put it all in, and was also did not have all the rooms. I didn't have the second bed built yet, so I just kind of jammed a bunch of plants in here, and wasn't my best choice. But you know, here we are. We're just past the middle of July and stuff is still green and growing for the most part. Our sunflower here, some of the flowers on these are starting to wilt off. I don't know if it's from the extreme heat and various crazy rainstorms we've had, but some of the flowers are still blooming well. Back here, the Kajari melons, I haven't got these trained as good as I should have, because they kind of make it up about this far up the trellis, and then they go their own way. So they haven't quite reached the top here. but the ones that, you know, that they're still growing very well, they've just kind of gone their own way. But we've got melons already in here. These will turn an orange color when they're ready. And actually, well, I guess when they're ready, they'll start falling off the vine. But they're not going to be ripe for a little while yet. There's a couple more I just saw. There's one in there. We got one down here. This is one of our bigger ones that just started growing right here on the edge, sitting there, so it has a nice little platform to sit on. And there's a couple more on the other side. Look at this mess. That bed with the kabocha squash and or kabocha squash, however you pronounce it, and the lemon squash, those squash just took over everything, along with that little tomato plant that I stuck in here. Yeah, took over. So these squash vines are all over the place. They completely covered the path. They've got all kinds of blossoms on them. And look, this is the sunflower that I showed you on the last video. It fell over. It did pop up and sprout a flower, or bloom a flower, and it's got more blossoms coming in. But look how crazy it is all through here. So nature will find a way. You can see too, the tomatoes down there are just gone insane. They've filled up this whole cattle panel that I have up, and there's a couple of red ones in there, but we've only really picked one or two ripe ones so far. Most of the stuff's still green. I think we've got a handful of the cherry tomatoes, but only one big tie-dye tomato. The one problem I've had with a lot of the tie-dyes is blossom end rot, and it seems to be only one of the plants, and I'm not really sure why only one plant out of all of them is getting this blossom end rot. I've already had to throw away probably 8 or 9 tomatoes, and some of those were, you know, almost ripe, and then you go to pick them and they're all black and rotted on the bottom. So if you have any ideas of what might cause just one plant out of a whole row to have that happen, please feel free to comment and give me some ideas. Here's a kabocha squash, or again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but got one hanging in here, and there's another one over in here. It's pretty big. These are a Japanese winter squash, and when they are ripe, they're kind of like a mix between a sweet potato and a I don't know, like a pumpkin or butternut squash actually. So they've got the hard skins, but they the flavor is similar, and they're actually kind of hard to find. So I'm glad that I grew them this year, and we'll be able to save some of the seeds and, you know, have something that you're not normally going to find in your grocery store or farmer's market. But the vines on all this stuff, like I said, look, this has come all the way out here and is up over here in the grape area. The grapes are going nuts too. I need to prune them, and again, I still haven't trained them. They've already started to wrap around the fence down there though. And then we also got some lemon squash coming in here. There's one right there. So I need to look up when these are good to pick, because that one back in there might be kind of hard to see, but there's two in here. I don't think these get that big, and they might be close to ready. The okra is insane. I've already picked some and made some dishes out of them, and now I got to get in here and pick again. There was a ton of flowers that had opened up here yesterday morning, and I mean, you can see right here is a flower that's getting ready to open, or that one might be already done, I'm not sure. And then, you know, here's a okra here that's got the blossom still stuck to the end of it. Peel that off. And there's an okra that's a good size for pickling right there. The squash is not looking too healthy, the zucchini. I did find squash borer bug eggs in here, and I got rid of some of the eggs, but because I haven't been out here as much to get things done, I think it may have already started to do its work. And I've also got some downy mildew going on. You can see on these leaves here. So I think I might try trimming some of this out to see if I can get it to grow a little bit more. But we already have had, oh, there's actually a big zucchini in there. We've already got a pile of zucchini in the kitchen, you know, plus we've already eaten a ton of zucchini. So if it doesn't make it much further than this, I'm okay with that, because I could take this out and use this bed for something else for a fall crop. Then back down over this way, the other side of the tomatoes. Look at these tomatoes. I mean, those things, granted they're in the bed, so they're already started 2 feet off the ground, but you know, they're 2 to 3 feet above my head up there. So these things are probably 6 to 7 feet tall. And I've got a lot of them tied up here, but you know, I've run out of room because, again, I had mentioned before, I didn't prune them back as much as I should have. Next year I'm going to do single stemming to give them more room, but they are just going crazy. They've done really well, and I've had so far limited issue. Hope that continues. But we got some nice big beefsteak tomatoes in here, so you can see that one. There is one of those tie-dye, the Berkeley tie-dye is here, and see this one is a nicely shaped tomato. There's some more down there, and they don't have any blossom end rot, so why that plant on the other side had it, again, is a mystery to me. So yeah, they're going nuts. More Kajari melons. There's another little Kajari melon back in there. So I'm really excited about tasting those. Oh, look at that one in there. So, and then this sunflower back here died off. I don't know why. This was, you know, our first one that popped up early in the year, so maybe because it started so early, it's finished early, but I don't know. You can see it never really formed the seeds that well, although the birds are already in there eating off of it. So, you know, if the birds are getting something out of it, that's really, I mean, I grow these for ornamentals because I like the look of them, and then when they start to die, I haven't really done much of anything to harvest the seeds ever. I've always just let the local birds eat them. So just helping out the local kids with some food. Our elderberries are doing really well. They've put on a lot of new growth since we planted them, and this one over here has already got blossoms on it. Look at that. So I don't know if that means, because since I haven't grown these before, some more blossoms up here. I don't know if that means that these will turn into berries and we'll actually get some elderberries this year. So we'll have to see. Look at this. Our wall of cucamelons. This is, if you go back and look at our previous videos at how tiny these things were, we now have a whole wall of them. And they just took over this bed completely, which in a lot of ways is kind of nice, because we're going to have a big harvest for pickling these things. Here's a look, there's one ready for picking right there. That's all the bigger they get. And we were out here eating some of them off the vine yesterday morning. But the other thing is, there's almost no weeds in there. A couple blades of grass coming out, but you know, when it grows this heavy, it chokes out all the other weeds, so I don't have to worry about it. And then our cucumbers is also pretty much a wall, and they've also spread all the way out here onto the ground. I've already made a batch of pickles with the pickling cucumbers that were in there. I picked more yesterday. And then there's also muncher cucumbers in there. And I need to make some dishes with those too. I had some for dinner the other night. Mitzi and I and the dogs who love cucumbers. Or at least Abby does. Oliver won't eat them. But ate a lot of them the other night for dinner. Here's one of the, oh, I said Boston pickling. I think it's actually Chicago pickling cucumber variety is what I have. So there's one hanging there that I need to pick. So they, this other side of them though isn't looking that healthy, and I think it's part of it is this extreme heat. You can see some up here. Some of the leaves have wilted off, and that's just happened in the last couple of days because it's been so hot this week, and cucumbers aren't big on extreme heat. So man, I'm seeing a bunch of cucumbers in there. I need to get picking this morning. Oh, last little bit is cilantro. I've already cut a bunch of that back. I have some that we've eaten fresh and some that I'm drying that's hanging up in the kitchen, and now I need to cut it again because it's already taken off again. So yeah, I think that's about it for the garden update. Oh, last thing, my sweet basil is doing really well. This is something else that I've already harvested a couple of times, and it's, you know, it keeps growing back really well, and I need to trim it back again this morning and get some more there. I've got some of that drying as well. And then oh, it smells so good. Love the smell of the basil in the garden. And then this pepper plant, which is peppercini, got a ton of those in there, and I need to look about harvesting these because I'm not sure if they're supposed to turn more yellow before you pick them, or if I can go ahead and harvest this like that and go ahead and start doing some pickled peppercinis. So, all right, I think that's it for this morning. I need to get out here and pick as much stuff as I can this morning so I can get inside before this next crazy wave of heat comes in. One more day of this heat after the day. Today and tomorrow are supposed to be close to 100, and actually the heat index with the humidity is over 100. But then it drops back down into the low 80s, I think, by Monday. So that'll be good, especially for the chickens who don't do so well in the you know, high heat. We set up that portable chicken AC that I made out of the cooler, and I'm going to do a video on that. The first video I made didn't come out very well, so I'm going to do a step-by-step on the second one that I'm putting together. And then we also put ice in with the smaller two that we have separated right now, which I need to do an update on the chickens too. I'll do a separate video for that, since Dora, if you've been following us on Facebook, you'll know that Dora turned out to be a rooster. So she went back to the farm that she came from to become father of a sheep. He went back to the farm where he came from to become the father of new breeds, or more breeds, or more generations, I guess I should say. And then we got 2 new hens to replace him. But there's, you know, they have to stay separated for a little while until they get used to the flock. So I'll do a full update on that on a separate video. So anyway, hope your gardens and homesteads are doing well. Have a great day, and namaste.